research that I began about 3 years ago. On this, I have um, made this. This is the third presentation I'm making out of this project, and I have published a paper in the Global Research Foundation for Corporate Governance um, Insights, which is a journal published out of New Delhi, India. And I'm going to take it to the next step, and that next step brings us to worker. What kind of workers are these? And I'm going to present this to you uh, as a question: the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, and the ones who see things differently and they are not fond of rules. I mean, when you look at these kind of workers, we want to then ask, are these the kind of workers you want? And do you know them? That means, do you have workers who are like this? And do you tolerate them? We are looking at these kind of workers, and we would see where are they. So we call the workers mind workers. Mind workers, that means they are ruled by their mind. They are not ruled by any other motivator, uh, whether it is salary, it is vacation, it is prestige, or whatever intrinsic or extrinsic motivation there could be. They are ruled by their mind. And the work that keeps their minds occupied, we call that the mind work. And bringing mind to work is really the challenge we are facing, and we are hoping we shall be able to bring a lot of workers who will come to work and have their mind in work. And this is this came up uh, because Academy of Management, which is the world's largest assemblance of the management professional, and uh, these members have come up with a forum, this panel, which consists of 3 professors from Harvard and 1 from University of California, Santa Barbara, and they are going to talk about the future of work, and that is starting on the 20th of March at 10 a.m. by New York time. And I did bring up this issue for discussion at this semblance of um, the Academy of Management panel. But what is the role of mind? And in a next half century or so, the work is going to be ruled by mind. And in the past, we have seen the work had been ruled by knowledge. And now we are bringing in thinkers. Thinkers and connoisseurs are 2 kind of workers, and whereas connoisseurs are driven by their knowledge, and knowledge rules them, and knowledge is what how they engage in their work. And then there are mind workers who do not have the expertise, do not have the knowledge. And I bring here for your understanding Thomas Alva Edison. I am sure all of you have heard of Edison. Edison is the probably most prominent name we have had in engineering and in science. And Thomas Alva Edison the reason I'm picking him as an example of mind workers, he did not really go to school. When he was young, his teacher at the school sent a progress report to his home, which is a common practice in the United States. And uh, she told her, the teacher, she told mother of Thomas Alva Edison that this boy is not fit for school. And Thomas Alva Edison's mother came to school. She met with the teacher and she said, "You are not fit for this student, my son as student." And the teacher called him duffer. He can never learn and nobody can teach him or train him. And that was the only education that Thomas Alva Edison had, because his mother withdrew him from school. And we know Thomas Alva Edison had more than 2,500 patents, and almost any area you can imagine of, he had inventions, and he made contribution to science and technology. Then we know the connoisseur. The connoisseur worker is Isaac Einstein. Einstein, again, a theoretician who based everything on knowledge. And then we have people who are hybrid mix of the two. They are thinker and connoisseur, about in some kind of mix, half and half, to the low end of one and the high end of the other. And hybrid example I bring is of Louis Pasteur. Pasteur is the person I picked because of Louis Pasteur, a French chemist, gave us pasteurization that we know from milk and butter and other substances. He brought the two together. I have here a comparison of these two kinds of workers, the connoisseur and the thinker. And I'll move quickly, keeping in mind the time I have, and I want to make sure I cover the topic. Connoisseur, for all these workers, knowledge is the main tool. For thinkers, thoughts is the main tool. They think, they imagine, and they intuit, and then they make a scheme, a plan to execute what came to their mind, and they fail. And the difference is, a connoisseur typically does not plan to fail. A thinker plans to fail. And when they fail, they regroup, they pick up their pieces, and they go on, because the thinkers are intuitive, whereas the connoisseurs are dependent on systems and science. So rules that come from systems and science, they go by those rules. The thinkers go by their intuition, and their intuition has whatever, they go by that. And for them, the connoisseur on the left side, their confidence and track record of success is their main motivator. For thinker, their ambition and determination is their motivator. Problem solvers, and they are less on connoisseur side, they bring out problems less than they solve problems, whereas thinkers are deep rooted in problems, and they bring out problems, they bring out dysfunctions. They may not have the answer. And while as Connoisseurs are team players. Thinkers are independent workers because they are deeply engaged in their thought and in their intuition for performing their task. And then we look at connoisseur, they regularly deliver incremental innovation. They constantly, regularly keep improving things, uh, and incrementally they bring out the results. But the thinker works independently on his or her own, and they succeed by whenever they succeed by giving radical innovation, disruptive innovation. They really destroy what the connoisseurs do. And uh, bringing you back to Thomas Alva Edison, uh, Edison, who was a who had his labs and workshops in New Jersey, and uh, invented bulbs, whereas during his period, people were using gas to light. He disrupted all of that, and he invented the electric bulb. He invented uh, he invented electricity. He invented while as theaters and stages were perfecting the play, he came up with movie camera, movie theater, and cinematography. As a result, he gave us moving pictures. And remember, Edison had no education. Edison self-taught everything. Edison wrote the theory that continued to work, and General Electric, Con Edison, there are so many companies that really came out of him. He provided so much to the not only America but to the whole world, and they do not need supervision, but lax supervision is needed on connoisseurs. We connoisseurs are scientists, technologists, engineers, whereas thinkers are ordinary workers who do extraordinary things, and they don't need any background. They do not need anything as rules that science gives and all that. They make science. These people, connoisseurs, we call them mostly as knowledge workers. The term that was given by Peter Drucker in his book that was published in 1969, and we expect knowledge work or knowledge workers term is going to become extinct maybe within the next 10 years or so. But what is coming to replace them? These ordinary workers who are mind workers, because they are going to bring out newer technology. So when knowledge work changed the competitiveness rules by slowly and steadily taking over knowledge work, not by displacing them as skilled workers, but they totally annihilated them. They just got rid of work, and work was eliminated. And mind workers accordingly are going to work, and they are going to be disruptors. Now, at the start of the third decade, in 2021, all work became knowledge work. That is why the meaning of the term knowledge work is not going to really have any significance. Now, they lost their classification in, or will lose classification in next about 10 years, and the new work distinction is going to be based on the mind work. Now, let's try to understand the traits of mind workers so we can recognize them. They are present. They are present everywhere in all organizations. The managers have to recognize them, and managers have to treat them in a way where mind workers flourish and they give to the organization what organization needs for its success. And these workers, the ones we call mind workers, they may have technical skill, scientific knowledge, or they may not. Or they may have grand experience, they may not have experience. And it's not the experience that matters to them. It is their thought, their intuition, and their determination. Now, uh, they this determination they have in their mind and the dream they have, that is really gives them the energy and zeal, and that's how they succeed. Now, in them, as I hinted previously, psyche rules them. Psyche uh, is the mind. Their mind rules them. They get inexhaustible energy, unending energy through pseudo psychosomatic processes which are intrinsically driven. It's the mind that creates energy, uh, and then mind drives the body, and the body gets energy, and intrinsically, not extrinsically. And they get stress and tension because of their psyche working in them. And to relieve their stress and tension, they engage in endless projects, and they keep on working on impossible things, and they will continue and succeed if we do provide an environment that is conducive to the mind work. And they get insight on their goal, and their goals are unusual. In the organizations like Google, as an example, Microsoft, even uh, even in parts of Amazon also they do, uh, because uh, in Google, for example, they give 1 day free to every employee uh, uh, to engage in a project of their interest, mind work. And uh, Google board has many times brought out uh, questions with regard to what are we getting from them? Why are we wasting 20% of the labor wage and expecting them to do whatever they want? And uh, the management impressed upon the board that in 1 day a week, what we get from our mind workers is far greater than what we get from other workers in 4 days. If we stop encouraging mind workers, we will not be able to get innovation, discovery, and inventions and new things and unique things, because uh, as you know, uh, America is facing a lot of challenge from some countries who have evil intent, and we do not have government doing things. We have our companies doing, private sector working, and our companies doing things. That's why we expect them to come up with projects, with inventions, with discoveries quickly, and their mind workers bring us that. Let's understand mind workers. These mind workers are crazy researchers. They keep on searching for truth and they do not stop. They are weird entrepreneurs. They take on mm, companies and they want to accumulate billions. They just want to amass wealth, uh, like uh, Elon Musk, uh, having become the richest man in the world, and even though he lost his spot briefly because Tesla stock fell due to the Twitter acquisition and all that, but within within just a few weeks, he recovered all his losses and more, and again retained the number one position in the world. So, and he also controls the largest satellite system in the world. Uh, this is the kind of weird entrepreneurs. They are again mind workers, unbounded managers looking for performance. These are managers employed by corporations who look for performance, and we consider them mind worker because they are driven by themselves rather than driven by anything external. There are dreamy innovators. They just don't stop imagining. And uh, again, we have several in the United States, and you already know names of a number of them. Then there are dizzy designers. Apple is full of such people. These uh, mind workers are extremely committed. They are plain simple workers. They use, as I already said, they are workers of their mind, and that's why we call them mind workers, a term that basically I introduced uh, in my work so far, and I am going to, for next few years, keep on working in this area on mind workers and how to get the most out of them. There are two types of mind workers. First, we call mind workers of the first kind by the work content. That means the kind of work they do. The knowledge for these kind of workers is part of their content, and demand puts a special emphasis on their tacit knowledge. Uh, I am sure you're all familiar of tacit knowledge and uh, implicit knowledge, explicit knowledge, which is the technical word for that, and they focus more on tacit knowledge, build tacit knowledge, and as managers, we have to see our mind workers continue to build their tacit knowledge, like the example of Edison. Now, the mind workers of the second kinds are based on the work, and they are at all levels. Managers have to recognize them, and then they have to facilitate their worker. Uh, then we come to engaging their mind. The work environment must provide them ability to intuit, to imagine, to connect, to manifest, to fabricate, and create. And that is how mind workers are engaged. What we call is managers should facilitate their what we call FDE, full dream experience. They we have to allow them to dream and not just simply dream, have the full dream experience. And if we do not, they come to what we call auto activation deficit, AAD. Auto activation deficit is if people do not work, their brain becomes empty. You might have heard, I have nothing in my brain, or my brain has become empty, I've lost my brain. It happens, and that is called AAD. And if we don't use the treasure of their mind, they will get AAD. And what is AAD? And you already have workers who are suffering from AAD, auto activation deficit, which is unless you incite them, they do not act. It is like you have to give them some kind of uh, jerk, some kind of shot, so that their brains start to work. And how do you give them shot? You give them shot by asking them, by talking to them, bringing to them a problem, bringing to them a question, and you will see how their brain starts to work and how they will start to contribute immensely for the organization. Now, for managing, the strategy for managing mind workers is what we call employee flourishing. Flourishing is an area that was introduced by psychologists approximately 3 decades ago. But uh, I am bringing here flourishing for the sake of these mind workers. And we will, there is enough in literature for you to go to uh, flourishing, employee flourishing, and here I am giving introduction from literature and work by Fredrickson and Lozada, and performance objectivity we bring out. Now, mind workers flourishing question was raised by US Department of Health and Human Services in 1999 when they said the health of mind is very important for organizations to succeed and bring out innovation and invention. So we have to make sure, because these workers um, believe, and information comes from US Department of Health, that cognitive functioning actually is productive, gives us productive activities, satisfying relationships, and capacity to adapt to the adversity or overcome things that happen. Now, motivation, commitment, retention, and performance are the things that are going to bring about uh, employee flourishing. And strong, if we have strong sense of purpose, meaning, optimism, competence, and satisfaction, mind workers uh, will get more from their work, and they will give out impossible goals achieved, and this is how they will get positive emotions and psychosomatic strength and social functioning. And that opener I gave you, where we said, here is to the crazy ones, and this is Apple's telling. Here is to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy the world are the ones who do change the world. And this is how Apple calls all its employees geniuses, because they expect them to really use their mind at work. So that is my presentation, and I I have a lot more on that, but I gave you introduction, and if time permits, I can take questions for as long as there are questioners. So I am now available to take any question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your enlightened information. We all are enjoying your information, and we get a lot of knowledge from your presentation. So thank you. And sir, you know that right now we have another speaker who will talk in this line. So you know that. Thank you again to accept our invitation, and again to sparing your time here, sir. Now, sir, you can you know that if you want, you can leave now, sir.
Thank you. I'll hang out for a few minutes, listen to the next speaker,
Yeah.
and in the meanwhile, I'm going to mute myself.
Hello. Uh, Sir, if you have 2 3 minutes time, I have one question.
You can take it.
Yeah. So in the end of your presentation, you have mentioned the Apple as a company. Probably they have the crazy workers and they have, the made success of their own story. But do you think this is the normal, most of the companies should replicate that? Or how the next century worker should be, the looked into or treated in the organization?
Very good question. Uh, you know, in America, companies like IBM and Microsoft and all those, uh, their HR prepares managers to look for material like mind material, scientific material. And that is exactly what I will recommend. Managers to keep their eyes open all around in every department and find out who are these people who could be classified as mind workers. And I have given you traits. They will be working when you don't want them to work, when others will be cleaning their machines and their workplace and getting ready to pack their bag, they will hang on to finish their work. And on top of that, they will bring out initiative. They will recognize problems. They will be the first ones to volunteer to work and to take on assignments. And they will take work home with them. They will stay at work. So these are some of the rare uh, signals that you can give to your human resource department so they can train the managers in recognizing people who are fit or material to be mind workers and then groom them. I gave you, make sure you create a full dream experience for them. Let them dream, let them imagine. At times, you will feel like they are not working. Their mind is somewhere else, and that is true. You will be talking to them, and they may not get it. It's not because they don't have the ability to get it, it's because their mind was already moving ahead of you. You were talking about problem and they were thinking of the solution. And same way, you got to tolerate them. Remember, I said in my presentation, they will fail because the projects they take are extreme projects, very difficult and sometimes impossible, like in the invention of the atom bomb that Oppenheimer and his people did in America during the Second World War. I mean, you can take so many examples. I know India has a glorious past and has contributed a lot to the human race. But we know for last century or so, almost everything has come from America because America uh, gives people freedom, and that will be the last recommendation I'll make for you is recognize mind workers and then give them freedom. Freedom to come to work whenever they want, freedom uh, to sleep there if they want to sleep. Make sure you provide them a place to sleep. It is not uncommon for uh, research scholars in universities in America to be sleeping in our libraries, and we provide uh, places where they can sleep for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours because they just don't want to leave library. And this is how you can groom and breed and make mind workers successful. I am hoping to come up with a complete book, and I'll keep Santanu informed.
Okay, thank you, sir. We look forward to your book.
You're
Thank you very much.
welcome. My pleasure, and thank you.
Hello, am I audible, sir? Hello?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you talking to me? I am
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going to hang out for
Yeah.
the next speaker.
Yeah. There are actually so many people interested in probably asking you questions. A very interesting topic and intriguing also. So,
I am here.
I
You
just
woke me up at 1:30 a.m. my time. Now I feel fresh like my day has started.
sorry to have disturbed you middle of the night, sir. So I have a question. Giving the criticality of these mind workers, what are the organizational initiatives that any organization can take to ensure that these people are identified, nurtured, and given the right kind of resources to contribute to the organization?
That is what we call flourishing. Flourishing, as I said, in 1999 was initiated by US Department of Health because until 1999, uh, any kind of mental disorder was ignored. And we thought uh, if we attend to mind mental health of employees, we will flourish employees and we'll be able to get more out of them. And so I would suggest we get into, if you want me to continue, I can give you more slides on flourishing, which is the strategy for developing and breeding uh, mind workers. Uh, do you want me to open some slides?
Sir, I'm not sure because maybe there's somebody who's coming on the line. But a few points, if it's convenient for you to make, then we can gain from that.
Right. And uh, let me open the slide on flourishing, because flourishing requires certain things to be done. And even if you went into Google, you would be able to find on flourishing, although you will not find on mind worker and mind work, because or find very little because it's still very new. And first article I published on this, so many scholars wrote to me. They said, we never thought like that, and we are so pleased that we read this and it has opened our mind so we can look towards people. Look at, I can give you example. There is a person in Kerala who started writing or continue writing Mahabharata. And recall, Mahabharata is the world's largest epic. In fact, it is 10 times larger than the largest epic by Homer put together, even 10 times those are less than Mahabharata. But this person has taken on project in Kerala, and for his life, he has been writing Mahabharata. That's an example of a mind worker. I mean, that's what is crazy, what Apple called crazy. These are crazy people. And these people are weird, and people make fun of them, but we want to protect them as employees. And then make sure we groom them and we give them the help and have tolerance for failure. Very important. Train managers while dealing with mind workers to be tolerant of failure. And in fact, I don't know any Indian company, you may tell me if you have come across, or any of your audience may tell me if you have come across. Do they celebrate failure in India, in any company you have known?
I haven't come across such companies, sir.
In America, they do. Several companies regularly celebrate failure. And one such company is Gore-Tex, that makes engineered fabrics and engineered materials. And Gore regularly celebrates those employees who have failed. Because remember, after failure, people feel so much down. Their confidence is all gone, and that is mind worker. If you do not bring back their confidence, you lost them forever. And you don't want to do that. So constantly you make sure you should be taking less care of those who are successful. You can ignore them because they can take care of themselves. But you should not ignore those who failed. You have to rebuild their psyche. And that is what mind is. Their mind is finished. As soon as failure occurs, they say, I am no good. I am never going to succeed. I don't know anything. And then someone will come forward and encourage them. And when I was a pre-engineering student in India, a required book I had included, the name of the book was Men Who Changed the World. And it was a story of all those people whom I consider to be mind workers, all of them. And Edison, Thomas Alva Edison was one of them, whose life captured my attention then. And you can imagine when was I a pre-engineering student in Punjab, and I still remember word by word the life of Edison. Then Ian Fleming, also Louis Pasteur, Madame Curie, William Fries Green, several of the inventors, because all inventors are mind workers. You can't do invention of any kind if you are not mind worker. Any other question for
Yeah,
me?
there's another question. I'm just handing it over.
Good morning, sir. So I'm
All right.
pursuing MBA from Adams
Go on.
University. I have a question for you. Like
Okay.
for students like us, I am very much impressed by the characteristics of mind workers. I want to know how can we start this journey to become a mind worker from the level of studying, like we are studying now. So how can we become mind workers at this particular stage?
Okay, I heard your question, and let me repeat it to make sure that I got it correctly. You are asking, how can you become a mind worker? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Look at, uh, I am going to open my PowerPoint and bring you to that slide because I have listed it. And I'm sure you have been recording and you have gotten a copy of my PowerPoint, and you uh, keep it uh, still because I am still working on it. So uh, keep it to yourself, but yes, you can uh, work on further on it if you like. And let me get to that slide. These are the things. You have to build your intuition. And to build your intuition, you have to go inside you. To go inside you, you are going into the abstract. To go into the abstract, you have to first disconnect with the reality, because reality interferes when we want to go into the abstract to develop our mind. I published a book in 1919, I mean 2019. It is called, uh, it's based on management lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. And I have 2 articles of my own in it, and I have articles from several other prominent authors in there. One of the articles in it is on mind control. And I recommend you should be able to find, because this article is very widely read, and every week I get listing of people who have read this article, and there is a huge number every week that, and they keep on adding, the publisher keeps on adding and providing me the information. Now, mind control, I took straight from Bhagavad Gita, and just change the terminology and change the language so I can communicate it to ordinary people. I would, and you should be able to get it. If you search, you will be able to get it. I will recommend read that. And another article from that book is 10 messages from 10 management messages from Bhagavad Gita. And those 10 messages are the key messages of Bhagavad Gita. And Lord Krishna has written so much on mind, because mind is one of the 2-3 most important things of Bhagavad Gita. I would say, if you just focus on a few chapters and then develop your ability to do yoga, go inside, that will build your intuition, that will help you imagine. And that is second thing. Imagine, just sit down, sometimes undisturbed, in quiet. If you prefer, maybe a little bit light that comes straight on you, and close your eyes and focus and imagine whatever you like to imagine: flowers, beautiful faces, beautiful scenes, beautiful places you have visited, or they are not there and you are imagining. Look at, imagination has its downsides too. People imagine evil and then they do evil. But we are making sure, if this is why I am putting your roots in the Bhagavad Gita. So you do not take your powers, because remember, intuition, imagination are your powers. And then I say connect back to the reality. Look at, through intuition and imagination, you disconnected with the real and you connect it with the abstract. Now you, from abstract, you have to come out. It's like, I'm sure many of you have seen uh, the uh, future. Uh, I, I forgot Christopher Lloyd's movie Back to the Future. So in the Back to the Future, they keep traveling, time traveling into the back, into the past, into the present, into the future. And that's exactly what you are doing while you're training yourself for mind work. You're going into the abstract, disconnecting with your reality, go into the abstract, spend time there by imagining, by intuiting, then come out of it, disconnect with the abstract and come in the real world. That is the connection part. Now you start to manifest what you had what you saw during your period of abstraction. What did you imagine there? What did you see there? And that manifestation can come in the pictures, can come in the words. Like every morning, I take my walk. Uh, I go up the hill, I go down the hill, and I go at a time mostly in my neighborhood. Uh, I don't see people on the roads, so I rarely 3 4 people I'll come across who will greet good morning, and I don't want that. During my walk, I am in the abstract, and during that period, all my problems I bring out, and I get solution to my problems. And by the time I am home from my walk, I'm now ready to manifest. And then I fabricate. Remember, I use the word fabricate because I am now writing things that are not there. I am writing about the solutions which are not there. And then I create. And that completes my preparation through the mind work. And that is what is called FDE, full dream experience. And if I find people have become auto activation deficit, or you find somebody and you want to improve their mind power and their mind, bring them out of their AAD by asking them questions which are difficult. Wake up their mind, and then they will become active again. New life will come in their mind, and they'll continue to work.
Thank you, sir. Thank
I
you for your
hope I
awakening
answered
words.
your question.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, any other question? Or I might go into my abstraction and my sleep.
Thank you, sir. So
You are welcome.
We are now breaking.
You have my email address, you have my contact information, and I wouldn't mind receiving your emails, and I will communicate with you.
That was indeed a pleasure for all of us listening to you, sir, especially the questions. So we are now breaking for a 15-minute break for our audience over here. So
All right,
we'll come back.
I'm going to stop sharing,
Yes, sir.
and I would say goodbye.
Thank you,
and
sir. Thanks
say
again.
Say my special hello to Santanu.
Sure, sir.
And
Shantanu sir
tell
is
him
listening.
I enjoyed my interaction with all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, sir.